Y'all. Y'all all right? Good. Listen, these kids are coming back home. Why? Who did this? And who's the fault? And is it their fault? Is it our fault? Is it our parents' fault? Is it our grandparents' fault? Is it the government's fault? Is the bank's fault? Or is it the landlord's fault? Is it the school teacher's fault? The police fault? Whose fault is it that our kids, these millennials and Gen Zs, are coming back home to roost? The answer may not surprise you. I see in 60. You good. Don't stop it.
Bass.
It's the show that will get you thinking, and where the topics are hot. Feel free to comment whether we agree or not, 'cause he's got something to say.
Sirwalterj.
He's got something to say. Sirwalterj.
Reporting live 7 days a week, always on time, but his time is not free. Sirwalterj, always on fleek. Latest trending topics had you jumping out your seat.
He's got something to say.
Come on in. The water's fine.
Hello, everybody. Sirwalterj show. I'm here. It is the midday connection, baby. Come on in and water fine. Water always fine sometimes. Y'all all right? Good. April, Melody, Monkey Moves, Keisha. I got to return your email. I saw it when you sent it to me. When you responded, Lakeisha, I got it. I didn't forget. I'm just overloaded. You understand. You've been with me for a long time. Sharon and April and Minister Butch Jones, good to see you. Listen, y'all. Listen, Carol and Rome. Your kids are coming home. Whether you like it or not. That's if they left the house. And typically, when a boy loves a girl very, very much, okay, that's the birds and the bees. I'm wrong story. Typically, when a boy grows up in a home, when I was coming up, when we turned 18, Daddy said, "You gotta go." Mama was like, "Not yet. He's my baby. He not ready yet." There is a post that Demetri Pitts put up, actor Marlon Wayans. All right. You see what that say? 52. Never married because he didn't want to make his mother jealous. Y'all see that? And Art Lewis gave a great explanation here. What he said. I'm gonna read what Art Lewis said. Tag Art Lewis if you know the man. This ain't as far-fetched as some may think, he said. Marlon is the baby boy. So he has watched everything in the family and he has seen how the dynamics play out. There's a strange connection with many moms and baby boys. No matter how old he get, we have seen for the past few decades men complaining how trying to date a woman with a son is difficult because she, in essence, he says, has made him her surrogate man. He's right. I've been saying that for years. These young ladies who are raising these boys are raising their man or their potential husband, their boyfriend, or what have you. They're raising him up that way. They are putting into the boy what they wanted to see, sometimes in their father, or sometimes mostly in many cases, the man, the boy's father. So they're putting into that boy all the things. That boy becomes her playmate, her doll. He says, we've seen via social media posts asking your mama or your wife who gets to sit in the front seat, and women who were demanding because they birthed the man that they are entitled to sit up front, and wife better get in the back seat. He's saying, he's quoting the old saying, nobody loves you like mama loves you. Well, that's especially so with the baby boys, and there are about 2 generations already raised under this handicap. That overbearing mother-in-law who insists on being queen bee, no matter who the son brings home. The wife says one thing, mama comes in and says something else, and he goes with it. Makes what he said very plausible, especially if he has witnessed friction between his other brothers' women and their mother. This is absolutely true. Art nailed it. And let me tell you, to be even more controversial, it happens typically. I'm going to bring my family up. Thanksgiving came on the scene, and my brothers and I and my 2 sisters, it was 9 of us, sat at the table and ate Thanksgiving with my mom and dad all the way up until it got time for one of us to get married. When we moved out the house, we got married. Then the dynamics changed, because if one of my siblings or myself married and our wives had a father and a mother, living mother, and they had a typical Thanksgiving, then what we were doing was we were trying to split the Thanksgiving dinner between the 2 families. But what happened was, if we married a dominating woman, then what happened was Thanksgiving dinners with my mother and father stopped, because we were trying to please the dominating woman. And so the woman would take the boys away from the family structure. And the more they take them away, the more the boys like, well, this is my new family. So these dynamics do happen, and there is no balance. You all can balance Thanksgiving or Christmas or what have you with both families. You really can. And many families have successfully done it. But that's because they know the balance. So when we were young, if we were boys, that is, we turned 18, Daddy says, you got to go. And I don't care what you didn't get in this house. I don't care what learnings you didn't get. It's your fault. You got to go. You've got to go. And so we had to go and fall and stumble and all this stuff. Now, my father would help us. He didn't just send us out there. But like a bird that has a nest in a tall mountain, kick that y'all seen those National Geographic pictures where the birds, the little chicks are falling from the sky? It's because the mama kicked that bird out the nest. You gonna fly or you gonna die. All right. So generational wealth, or the wealth transfer, is what caused the boy made the boy excited to leave the nest and go on with and starting his own family with a financial blessing from the father. When I was trying to get my insurance license, the teacher was telling us about different types of insurances. There's a whole lot of insurance. You can insurance anything, y'all, anything. I had my hands insurance at one time, insurance. I had my hands insured at one time because I was a musician. That was my only income, and I didn't want my finger to fall off or what have you, or I couldn't make any money. So I actually was paying insurance for my fingers, my hands. But she was telling us how her and her husband had put monies into an insurance policy so that when the daughter got old enough, they would put her in college, which they did, but they also had a fund where they was putting money into a housing fund. All right. And so when the daughter got married, at the wedding, the gift from the parents was a home. Monies, that is, for a new home. She was like, listen, we were smart. When our daughter was born, we had right away started. No, she says, when I found out I was pregnant, we started to put money away. for a college fund and for a new home, just in case she decides she's going to get married. And we put money here, put money there. And we kept paying on that policy. Well, she got married, and then that policy kicked in where we were blessing them, giving them a head start so they wouldn't struggle as much like how we did. That is passing the wealth down to the next generation. Y'all understand? This is what my grandfather did for my father, and this is what my father did for us. He didn't have a lot of money to pass down, no, but he passed down a whole lot of mental wealth and knowledge, which was more wealth than any monies that he could give us. And then he was smart in the 70s. He started to, when blacks were moving to the white neighborhoods in the 50s and 60s, then there was a thing called the white flight. And the whites would move out of the neighborhoods, and my father would be doing work in those buildings. And as they would move out, my father would make deals with them, and he would buy up these apartments. He would buy up the apartments. So he bought 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he bought another building. All right. So then he struggled down through the 70s and the 80s and the 90s to hold on to it, and the property taxes was going up and all kind of stuff, and he fought so hard, and he held on to it because he knew that things were going to change in the neighborhood, and they did. So while I was living there in the 70s and the 80s, it was dilapidated. You know, there was vacant buildings and vacant lots, and the streets was jacked up. It was just bad over there, just bad, and the crime was high, what have you. Right now, in 2024, I can't afford to move over there. Why? Gentrification came through there. And now, right next to my father held on to his stuff, and the banks were trying to buy it up, and white folks was coming in and said, I will offer you all this money. My dad was like, no, this is for my family. This is generational wealth for my children and my grandchildren. And he held on to that stuff. And now my father's old buildings are sitting across the street from these condos that most of you can't get in there. You can't afford it. All right. And all these businesses popped up in the neighborhood that's not typical for blacks. So, you know, white folks, these coffee shops and all this stuff, be like, okay, yeah, the yuppies are here, they're here. And it's amazing what they did. They cleaned up the streets, put up new street lights, and the trees are beautiful and blossoming and all kind of stuff. It's something else, you all. And my father held on to it. And then when my mother died, my father had a meeting with us, and then he signed on the dotted line, and each one of my children will get a piece of this property. So now I have ownership of the property that the Jones estate owns. You understand? That is generational wealth or wealth transferring. Now, my generation is Generation X, which means the time is coming real soon, if not now, depending on how old your children are. We are supposed to pass down our wealth to our children. This is the first time in American history where a generation cannot receive that wealth transfer because times are so hard that this generation can't live on its own. It must move back home with the previous generation because they can't afford to live. Now, why is it? And there's so many dynamics to it. It's not all of the Gen Zs or the Millennials' fault, although some of it is because of the distractions of social media. But the sad thing about it, if you on Patreon today, I played an expose, a teaching by Country Wayne. Country Wayne makes millions of dollars doing skits on social media. Anybody see it on Patreon? If you got to be in the upper room, you ought to say, or in the finance room. He makes millions of dollars just doing these crazy skits. You all laughing at his skits and say he's so country. This don't make any sense. But he is making millions. And one guy that's an actor in his skit gets $1 million a year. And he says, I want to pay him $2 million next year. Why? Because the more I pay him, the more I make, the more the company makes, and the more I'm able to bless my people. That's generational wealth. You understand? So if you didn't see it, go see it on Patreon, the Sirwalterj Jones Show. So my father knew that concept always. So he passed down his knowledge to us, and then he also passed down whatever wealth that he had in assets. So we're holding on to it. So I have it, which means I'm now able to pass on my part of that asset that my father passed down to me, to my son and my daughter and my grandchildren. And I asked a question to many of you years ago. And I asked y'all, what would you rather have? Would you rather have $1 million in cash, or would you rather have $1 million in a good stock fund? I'm asking you all that right now. I just want to know. Would you rather have $1 million today in cash, or would you rather have $1 million in a stock portfolio? A good stock portfolio. Which would you rather have? Which one? All right. Candy said the fund. Sharon says the stock. Anybody else? Henry says the fund. Okay, which is the stock. Johanna says the portfolio. Okay, Young 33 says the stock. Kim says the portfolio. Carolyn says the stock. Mary says the stock. Wade says million cash you can invest. This is true. Darlene says stock. Most of you are saying stock. Okay, now let's examine this very carefully. Patricia says cash. There is no right or wrong answer. You need to know that. There is no right or wrong answer, because it's really depending on who you are. You see, there are people who are saying I would take the cash and then I can invest in whatever. Well, depending on who you are, there's an old saying that says a fool and his money will what? There are people who don't know nothing about the stock market, and so they take that $1 million and then they invest in something that they think that they know about, and then it crashes and burns. Now, you done lost thousands of dollars, if not all of it, because you invested wrongly, because you have no knowledge of it. So many people said, just give me the stock. Not just any stock. Notice I said a good stock portfolio. The stock market, interest on it is basically about 10% every year. Sometimes it could be 6, 7, 8, but it averages around 10. It can go up to 20-something%. All right, and you can imagine that if I had $1 million in stocks, and 10% of $1 million is what, you all? I like to know. Can y'all tell me what is 10% of $1 million? Somebody put it in there. Anybody? I know the comments are coming in real slow. All right. Then I'll ask Amazon. Hey, Alexa, how much is 10% of $1 million? She's a little slow. She's an old woman. Just give her time.
10% of 1 million US dollars is 100,000 US dollars.
It's 100,000 US dollars. Okay? Now, a raise of hands. How many of you can live off of $100,000 a year? How many of you today, 2024, can live off of $100,000 a year? How many? I know I can. You best believe I can. And live comfortable, because I know how to spend money. I know how to save money. I know how to invest money. I know how to downsize. I know how to live not above my means. I don't buy stuff that I know I cannot afford. If I can live off of that comfortably. But here's the thing. If you had $1 million stock portfolio, you not only making $100,000 a year, you're making that for the rest of your life. That is perpetual. And number two, not only do you make it for the rest of your life, when you die, you transfer your stock option over to your child, and he or she will make that $100,000 for the rest of his or her life. And this is how, the Goldberg, anybody who got a last name Bergs, okay, the Bilderbergs, the Rockefellers, the Roosevelts, and all these families, even the Clintons, okay, the Kennedys. How are they born with a silver spoon? It's because one guy had a fund, and he put away a fund for his children. And the children lived off the interest of that initial fund. And now the great-grandchildren are living off the interest of that initial fund. The principle of that fund ain't even been touched yet. You can live off of $1 million stock portfolio for the rest of your life and never touch the principle. The Bloombergs, come on, never. This is the language that many African Americans don't understand today. And it is delayed gratification that you don't understand today. You think you gotta have an $80,000 car. You gotta have the latest this, the latest iPhone, the latest Samsung, the biggest house. All this, you gotta have all these things. And you're not thinking about, I'm gonna turn 70 one day, 75 one day, and I'm gonna look back and see what I've spent. You spent millions of dollars, and what do you have? I'm in debt. So many people who are millionaires delay their gratification by riding their bicycles to work, walking to work, taking the train, the trolleys, and the bus to work, and what have you every day, and exercises and getting and doing things that don't cost them much. They don't go to the expensive steakhouses. They eat at the corner store, or they cook. They buy groceries and bring it home, and they cook. They know what's in the food. And they do that year after year after year after year. Meanwhile, the monies that they're making on their jobs, they're taking that and investing it into the market. They were young. They were taught that in their 20s to keep investing, don't worry. And 30 years from now, you're going to thank me. 30 years, that's so long. That's too long. Well, guess what, y'all? It's 2024. I remember in 2000, I was like, and I'm going to have this now. I'm going to do this now and that was 24 years ago. 24 years went like that. Just like that. Like that. You understand? Like that. Gone. So 30 years, which is the length of a mortgage. If you got a child who's young, beat the hell out of him with that information. Please. Don't be like me. Don't be like how I wasted all this money. 30 years is not a long time. It is not. Not the way the world is turning right now. It ain't long at all. You need to put that money away. And when you turn my age, then you're going to thank me for what I'm telling you right now. You'll be able to get off your job and live comfortably the rest of your life, take exotic trips and buy cars and buy whatever you want to, and live comfortable. That is the American dream, but it only happens when you put up or store up an inheritance for your children's children. You have to have that mentality. You understand? So this Generation X, don't have the funds. They don't have the stock. They don't have the land. They don't have the real estate that the generation before us did, because those in the 50s and 60s understood the importance of real estate. Those who you see marching up and down the streets for the civil rights, and you think that they're poor people. No, many of them, especially those in Atlanta, were doing pretty good. They were building their churches from the ground up and paying cash for them. And if they did do a mortgage, they paid the mortgage off in 5 and 6 years. Today, y'all got mortgages in these churches, $1 million churches, what have you. And if 5 families move away, you can't afford it. You may lose your church. Those people were living so comfortably. Mm-hmm. All right. Kim asked a question: how can you leave something for your children if you make less than $30,000 a year? Downsize. There's a whole lot of stuff that people, I'm telling you, you don't need. You want it, but you don't need it. I'm telling you what I know. You don't need it. Walk. You don't need to buy no car. As a matter of fact, Warren Buffett said that buying a car is one of the worst so-called investments. It's not an investment. It's a liability. And nobody invests in anything that when you buy it, it ain't worth what you bought it for when you bought it. That's not an investment. That is not. It will never even mature. I can see if you're buying some bonds, municipal bonds or government bonds, where it takes for years for it to mature, but at least over time it is maturing, and then it surpassed what you paid for it. All right, that's an investment. But if you buy a car, as soon as you drive off the lot, it's not worth the $50,000 you paid for it. That is not an asset. Do you understand? So why do you need a $50,000 car? Save money, put emergency funds away, and then buy something that got 4 wheels and an engine to get you wherever you need to go while you are putting more monies away. And again, I made on my musician salary $32,000 for many years. For you asked me, who was that, Kim? I was making $32,000 while doing the Sirwalterj Jones show. When I started the Sirwalterj Jones show 10 years ago, my musician salary was actually $26,000 a year. And when y'all saw me, y'all thought I had money. When I started this show in 2014, when I went live, I was making $26,000 a year. Do you hear me? And I made sure I didn't buy stuff I didn't need. I didn't have a car. And if I needed a car, I would rent one on the weekend. I had one credit card, and I was using that to build up my credit. And I was going to the grocery store. We were cooking here at the house. You understand? I didn't have much, but I knew that if I kept building up different streams, that I knew that I was surpass that over time. It took me years to get out of that $26,000 loop that I was making every year. It took me years, but the Lord says keep working, and I started writing books. I started using my music to make money, and then I started doing my YouTube channel. I remember when I had 200 subscribers on my YouTube channel and got so discouraged because these other guys, they was taking off. And God says, keep teaching. Don't worry. That old saying from that movie, if you build it, they'll come. Well, that only worked in this situation. I built it, I kept talking, and the people kept coming. And that 200 subscribers turned into 1,000. I remember when I got 2,000 subscribers, I was like, oh, MG, where did these people come from? I wasn't counting the subscribers. I wasn't really caring about the stuff that was happening outside. All I know was people was commenting, and I was liking the comments, what have you, and I just kept doing it every single day. And on a Sunday, I would put on my suit and just blow y'all away with my information and my ugly smile, because my teeth was all over the place. They were yellow, and I had low hair. I had a thick mustache. Y'all see the old shows, and I had horrible lighting. All right, and I had this ugly background, and I was filming on my iPhone. We at 15 now. I had an iPhone 4. I was filming on an iPhone 4, and it was bad. It was bad, bad, bad. And guess what? I kept talking. And I would use the Bible, open up the scriptures. Y'all hear the pages flip. I would take a camera and put it over the Bible. Y'all remember them days? Put it over the Bible. And I just kept talking to y'all. I kept talking year after year after year. And the bunker community was being built. And I looked up one day and I had 20,000 subscribers. And I said, where'd them people come from? God says, keep talking. If you build it, they will come. If you build it, they will come. And so they just kept coming. And then I would take what YouTube was giving me each month and reinvesting it back. Here's that problem right there. The problem is the reinvestment mentality or the lack thereof from many African Americans. When you get money, you don't spend it. When you get it, you reinvest it. Y'all, I'm still on topic because I'm talking to your young people who are coming back home because many of them were not taught this concept. So I'm teaching it to you all. Okay? The monies that I get, I always put it back. If you're going to borrow money from yourself, always put it back. If you ever need to borrow money, come closer. If you ever need to borrow money, make sure you are the first one you borrow money from. And if you can't borrow money from yourself, then you're not really in a good situation. All right? I'm not talking about if you need to borrow $50,000 or borrow money for a house. No. But if you're trying to put money down on something like a car or a house or something that you need, you should be borrowing money from yourself. And if you can't, that tells me that you don't have an emergency fund or a savings. And that savings should be in a high-yielding offline account, all right? A Capital One offline or something like Chase offline account, not the brick and mortars. I'm talking offline, online, not offline, but online accounts, only online because there is no large overheads, these banks, those online banks. There's no large overhead, so they can pay you a high interest rate on your savings. So you put your money there and you leave it alone. And every time I get $1, every time I get $5, every time I get $10, I tithe to myself. There's golden blessings to you. I think you know about this. Every time I get paid, I do not tithe to the church, the house, that building that y'all call the church. I tithe to this church. I tithe to me. I pay myself first. Every time y'all cash at me, every time you give me something in the P.O. box, every time you give me something through the PayPal, every time you Zelle me, I tithe to me first. I pay me first. You are your own employee, and you always must pay yourself first. You are your own tax. You're the IRS, and you tax yourself first. This is how the wealthy stay wealthy. So the day is going to come when something's going to break. This is why I do not buy extended warranties on nothing. I don't buy gap insurance. I don't buy all that stuff. No, I don't. Sometimes you may need to buy gap insurance, but I don't spend all that extra stuff, and I just don't do it. No, I don't care what you're selling. Why? Because I put that money away. So when something breaks, I don't go to the bank. I go to me and I borrow from me. I got it. It's over there. It's for me. So when something breaks on my car, if the insurance doesn't take care of whatever it is, if it's not an accident, something just break. Oh, first of all, I still have a warranty on my car, manufacturer warranty, but that warranty is going to end next year, and they're going to try to offer me an extended warranty. I'm not buying it because that's extra money that myself, and I don't think I need to be spending money every month in an extended warranty that I may not need for years from now. Okay, so what I do, I put monies away for car emergency. And some people, many people who are bookkeepers tell you to have an account in your bank for car expense and another one for insurance, another one for house, what have you. You can open up different accounts and keep putting money in those accounts. You understand? So when something happens, I don't have to go to the church and ask the church, can you help me? No, I am the church. I go to that account, and when the car breaks, I go in here and pull it out and pay for it cash, and I won't have a car problem for a while after that. And I'm saving money on these month-to-month so-called extended warranties. Because the extended warranties, what happens is when you go into the car lot, the car dealership don't make money on selling the car. The dealership makes money on the extended warranty. Now, the extended warranty is offered by a third party. The third party gives the retailer monies for every contract that he signs up, and they give him a cut of it. That's why they keep pushing these warranties. I don't care if you go to Best Buy. I don't care if you go to your grocery store and buy some product, what have you. If you go to Lowe's or if you go to something, buy a washing machine, they're going to always try to offer you that stuff. Please. Not me. If it break, I'm going to take the money that I put away, and I'm going to put it on there, and I'm good. Now, some warranties are really nice. Some warranties are good, all right? But a lot of them, it's just monies that you're spending every month that you won't need to. And then when you get through adding it up, you realize you spend thousands of dollars in all these warranties and what have you. And it's like, what's that other thing that they're selling? Car Shield. That Car Shield commercial gets y'all every time. That Car Shield thing, listen, you think you covered with Car Shield? I have friends who spend thousands of dollars on that Car Shield every month, and then when their car broke, Car Shield says, we don't cover that. We don't cover that. It's a joke. I spent money and have a plan to replace it quickly. And it's always you have the multiple streams. And yes, make sure you're always putting in more. Come on. So every time I get money, I put it back. Stop taking that money out of you and not putting it back. Put it back. These life insurance policies, y'all got this whole life stuff. And listen, I hate whole life. I hate it. Y'all may have whole life. That's fine. But you cannot have a bundled life insurance. You need to separate your life insurance. You got to separate. You do not put investments with life insurance. You don't. You're spending more money than you think. You don't know that you're spending extra money. So you have a life insurance policy and you have an investment portfolio. Separate them. Susie Orman told y'all not to do that. She was right. What's the other brother that the white brother? All right, Dave Ramsey told y'all don't do it. He's right. So many others have told you do not put them together. They are two separate products. Separate them. All right. So what happens is you all are pulling from your whole life and borrowing because you need to fix something in the house and what have you. And then what happens is you can't afford to put it back, so you never do. And uncle dies, your mama died, and you don't have enough money to bury her because somebody borrowed that money 10 years ago and never put it back. Nicole, 401k is the stock market. It goes up, it goes down. If you got a company that is matching what you're doing, it is a good investment. But a lot of people are moving out of that into the Roth IRAs. Some still have the 401ks and on. But 401k is good until it's not. And then the stock market, I mean, the bubble in 2008, the housing thing happened and people were losing. They were losing like crazy. But the people were fearful and they was pulling their monies out because they was afraid they're going to lose everything, but you're not patient and you didn't stay in there. You got to stay in it and watch how the market always rebounds. The market always rebounds. Since the 1700s, the market always rebounds. Do you understand? Always. That's the only thing that is assured in American history, that the market dips, but it always rebounds. And if it never rebounds, we will cease to be a nation, and other nations will cease because we all tied to one another. It always. And when white folks are in stuff, when white folks in stuff that long, jump in. George said she lost big in 2008. A whole bunch of folks did, especially those who got pulled in by predatory lending. Some of you folks had no job. You had a 500 FICO score. You went down there to the bank, and the bank said, do you make any money? No. You have any collateral? No. You got a down payment? No. What's your FICO score? 450. Okay, well, sign on the dotted line. Here's your house. And it was a balloon. There was no fixed interest rate. It was a balloon. And what happened? People were coming to church bragging on a $450,000 house that they just bought. They were in church shouting, doing the jig. I mean, they were going crazy. And I was like, this ain't going to end well. This ain't going to end too well. This ain't going to end too well. And people were up. They were working 2 and 3 jobs just to try and pay the mortgage on that. 2008 came. That thing ballooned. They could not afford to pay their mortgage, and they moved out. That predatory lending is still happening today. It's up under a whole nother name. Come on. No whole life, another scam. Depending on your situation, life insurance is for the final expression determined. Yep. Come on, Pitch. You got it. A Roth IRA, a great option for individuals. Come on, y'all give us the definition. Y'all got it. The reality hits. So many of you lost your 401ks. And I think one reason is the people lost and gave up on that stuff is because you lost. Number 2, you did not sit with somebody who was a wise counselor and show you what to do. You don't just sit there and let that money just pile up like that, and you do nothing about protecting that money. That's why we call it a portfolio. You don't just put all your ducks in one row. And that's how black people were losing their 401k and losing everything because all their money was in the 401k and it wasn't spread out in REITs and in stocks and in bonds and even overseas, all right, markets and foreign markets and foreign exchanges. And because we didn't know. We didn't know what an ETF was. We didn't know what how to put things together because group insurance is your State Farm and your Allstate and what have. That's group insurance, and the reason why your insurance policy go up is because there's not enough people in the group, and the less people in the group, the more your insurance policy go up. And State Farm is a group insurance, and you wasn't taught that. So you got to diversify your portfolio, and that's how many of you lost everything. Number 2, you did a run on the bank, and what you didn't do, you didn't sit patient, and you didn't know that the market always bounced back. And when the market bounced back after about 2 years, it didn't take that long. About 2 to 3 years, that market bounced back, and the people was like, I pulled all my money out. Yes, because you wasn't educated to know. You didn't diversify, number 1. Number 2, you got scared, and you emotionally. It was like a gamble then to you. Do you understand? So I'm saying all of this. We turn this into a financial class. I'm telling y'all all this so that you can now teach it to the children who are coming back home. Me, my daughter, and I sit down all the time, and I tell them, no, baby girl, don't do that. Yeah, but I saw a YouTube video, and we can do this. I said, no, baby girl, that right there, that's a hot mess. These susus and these looms and, these little things y'all was doing. Remember last year, or was it 2 years ago? Everybody was running around, all these susus were going on, and the government was coming down and say, y'all. The FCC was cracking down. Was the FCC? It was the federal, that other folks, FEC, and one of them C's was like, y'all better walk away from this. Walk away from this. They were cracking down and they were shutting down these looms and what have you because it was a joke. It was a Ponzi scheme, and it entered into the churches. These schemes entered into the churches, and people were going crazy and losing all this money. Come on, fear makes your money takes wings and fly away. Yes, folks was losing their monies because they didn't do the study. Y'all, I'm trying to tell you, I'm hoping it's helping you. So your children can't afford to stay on their own. You can't afford to pass down your wealth because you're still building your wealth. So now what do? We got to have a class. You remember the Susus, Dana? It don't work with Americans. The Susus only work with those on the islands. Jamaicans, Bahamians, Tobagos and Tobagos, okay? It only works with them. How I know? Because it worked. My church, almost half of my church are from the islands. Almost half. And they've been doing susus for many years. And it worked perfectly with that small subgroup. Because they have a mentality, they know how it works, and they keep it within that community. I didn't know that was going on until I started to date one of them, telling all my business. And she would tell me how it worked. And she was like, whenever I'm down and wherever I need, I know that my time is coming. In 2 more months, my time is coming. And all that money that's going in the loom is coming to me, and I'll be able to pay this off, pay that off, pay that off, pay that off. She said, so I put my monies into this, and it works for us. Americans grabbed a hold of it and screwed it up. I'm trying to tell y'all. I'm trying to tell you. Don't fall for it. The Islanders are smart business owners. They are, Joyce. They are not broke. See? Sam says Susu's worked on the island since I was a little girl. See? It only work among them. It don't work with Americans. It don't work. So Axios, where am I? Talked about why these children are coming back home. Here's how many U.S. millennials live at home. It gives you the city and state. Nearly 16% of U.S. millennials live with their parents in 2022, per the latest census. Why does it matter? Younger people are increasingly struggling to swing high housing costs and returning to their childhood bedrooms or basements. The number of Americans aged 25 to 34 live at home has jumped over 87% in the past 2 decades, according to the census. What happened? Younger generations may be staying home to save on expenses like rent or future down payments. All right. More young adults could also be choosing to care for family members. What they're saying, Sharon Wilson, 29 years old son, and his wife live in her remodeled basement apartment in southern Minnesota. The plan is for me to downsize and move downstairs, and they take over the upstairs as they start a family. See, that's good. All right. Plunging affordability hasn't stopped since millennials from buying homes, often with family help. Nearly 55% of millennials own a home in 2023, up from 52% in 2022, according to a new Redfin report. Meanwhile, adult Gen Z's home ownership rates stagnated at just over 26%. Those who move out might find rent is a lot more expensive than it was a few years ago, even as price increases slowed last year. It's one reason why renters are feeling badly about their finances, according to the Axios thingy. All right. And it's going to change, and it's going to get worse as the economy does what it does. And we are part responsible for it because we are a very greedy nation. So the prices are going up. And those of you who bought your homes years ago with 3 and 4% interest rates and is locked in the fixed rate, y'all are the most blessed people. I'm telling you. I was talking to a young lady the other day who bought her house 15 years ago or something like that. She had a down payment, a decent down payment, and she got it at a rate of 3%. and they were talking about balloon and all that stuff. She's like, no, I don't trust that. She said, fix it. And I fixed it. And so what happened 2008 and beyond? She was safe. She was safe, and her mortgage was low enough where she can afford it, that she knew to make sure she put monies away just in case there's a downturn and she may lose her job, what have you. She at least got about 4 months that she can save, and she don't have to go into a forbearance, that she could go and borrow money from herself and live off of the couple months that she needs to find a new job. And she was able to continue to pay her mortgage. You understand? Until she found a new job. And when she got a new job, she quickly took her paychecks and started to repay her loan to herself back. Do you understand? That's wisdom. Because she's like, I got to do this for 30 years. And I got to be smart. She's a single mother. I got to do this for 30 years and I got to be smart. Ain't no man helping me. I got to do this. She said, my father dead. And it really doesn't take a whole lot of brain, no PhDs and master degrees to understand the simplicities of finance. You got to go slow. You got to go slow. And if you're only making just a few dollars a year, there's some things you don't need. Get rid of it. Number 2, if you're physically able, do something else, get another stream. Some of these streams are beneath you, not to the Hispanic. Them Hispanics are cutting your front and back lawns, and they are blowing snow off your driveway. And we are sitting there laughing at them. But let me tell you something about those Hispanics, those Mexicans, and those Puerto Ricans, y'all call them. we call them here in Chicago Puerto Ricans. It's kind of racist, so we stopped doing that. Those boys here in Chicago from late May to about October cut our lawns. And they're done. The monies that they got from the summer is sent home. And if it stays here, it is invested. And they live in homes or apartments where there's a lot of them. We often stereotype them, saying there's a whole bunch of them there. We laughed at them. But they have a plan, you see. If it's 7 of them in an apartment, 7 of them are working together to help this one guy right here get out. And as they're working so hard to help this guy get out of the apartment, he succeeds. He makes enough money for a down payment, and he gets out. Now we got to get this guy out. Meanwhile, the guy that we told he got to go, another one comes in. You understand? So you're like, it's always 7 people in the house. It's because it's a revolving door. And guess what? They don't tell y'all their secrets. They don't tell y'all what they're doing. But one day you wake up and you see the neighborhood has changed. When I went over there, I do my romance in the park. I call it Surfsville. I plan to do one this weekend. Over there in Pullman, you know what Pullman is. I took you over there. Over there in Pullman area. Let me tell you. I thought it was all whites and a couple blacks. Nope. There's so many Hispanics over there. Shh. They cut your lawn and they buy your house. They buy that little lot right there, or that house that's been abandoned for years. They bought it and they fixing it up. Better believe it. They owning this, they owning that, they owning that. Why? Because it started with 7 guys in a cramped apartment and they're just cutting your lawns. And then some of them, what they do is they go back to Mexico and live like kings and queens because of the exchange rate between the American dollar and the pesos. They got a plan. Y'all laughing at them. Meanwhile, you're living in a house that's upside down. Your car is upside down. Your score is so low because you have over exceeded your 30% ratio, utilization of your FICO score, way above 30%. So your credit cards are high. The interest rates on them are high. You're struggling. You're crying. And you're going down to the payday loan, title loan. You might be asking the church for some, or you might be asking your parents for some help or what have you. And these other cats are living below their means. The delayed gratification. They like, listen, one day I'm gonna turn an age where I can't work anymore because my body ain't as youthful as it was before. But I want my latter years, the second half of my life, to be filled with bliss. So as I'm young, they call the young because they're strong and I'm able to work hard and I don't have to have these plushes and the greatest, the nicest pillow top beds. I don't have to have all that right now. No, I don't get all that. I'm gonna live I'm gonna sleep on the brick floor. All right, I ain't worried about it. It's good for my back anyway. And they're putting that money away, putting that money away, putting that money away, putting that money away. And when the emergencies happen, the guy's like, "Oh, okay, I'm something wrong with mama. I'm flying in town. Flying in town. That ticket is $2,000 for that flight. I got it. You got it? Yeah, I got it. I had put money away for moments like these. Some people wait a lifetime. Oh, I got it. You got it. Yeah. I put that money away. I put thousands away just in case mama gets sick, daddy gets sick, Uncle Narnie gets sick, my sister gets sick, the house explodes or something. Oh, I got it. Don't worry about it. I got it. And then they go home, do some Ubering, Lyfts, do a couple DoorDash deliveries, sew a few boxes and crochet and send it over or write a book on Amazon, what have you. They build another source of income, and then they take the monies that they made from that income and pay themselves back. I got to put that $2,000 back. This is how it works. And I will never, ever understand, as I shut it down because I've been talking about an hour already, I will never understand how can somebody be a content creator and popular one at that and is always asking for money. Begging. We need this, we need that. You mean tell me your video went viral and YouTube and Facebook ain't paying you nothing for it? Instagram ain't paying you nothing for it? TikTok ain't paying you nothing for it? No, well, I went viral. 300,000 people saw my videos. How much money did you get? You going viral don't impress me whatsoever. Are they paying you? No. Well, use a fool. Use a fool. If you ain't monetizing and you are out there making people laugh or you giving some good information that's changing folks' lives and you ain't y'all need to go to Patreon and listen to Country Wayne. All right? Sign up to the upper room if you have to. It's in the finance room. Mm-hmm. Listen to Country Wayne. Y'all looked at him as just being some poor little guy making all these jokes and what have you. He's a multi-millionaire. You understand? So, your children are about to leave your house. George said, they don't ask, they be begging. Come on, Pitts, you saw it too? I'm telling you, it was a blessing. Your children are leaving your house. They're going to go out there and struggle. One reason is because you didn't sit down with them and show them the ropes. Let me tell y'all something. My father didn't tell me nothing about stock markets, and he told me nothing about a credit report. Why? he didn't really know much about the stock market. My father, he didn't really know about it. We're teaching my father about the stock market right now. He didn't know much about it. No. As far as credit scores is concerned, he knew just a little bit about it, but he didn't know the ins and outs and why it works and how it works. He didn't know that. No. So he couldn't teach me any of that stuff. I had to learn on my own. But when it came to real estate, my daddy knew the ins and outs of real estate. That's why he's a real estate tycoon. But I wasn't interested in real estate. And to this day, I'm still not interested in real estate. I'm not. I consider it a big headache to have tenants. I've seen what tenants did to my father's places. Burned them up, fires and ripping holes in walls and tearing up appliances. I said, I don't want that. I don't want that life. No, thank you. So what did I do? I decided to not buy physical real estate. I decided to invest in the ones who own the real estate. It's called REITs. So part of my portfolio is an investment in the real estate investment fund. You understand? So I'm into real estate, but in the investment area, not the ownership area. You understand? So you've got to, we didn't have Google and Bing and I remember Excite and Ask Jeeves. We didn't have these, you just type something in a search engine and bam, there it is. And YouTube, we didn't have YouTube. We had to go to the library or we watched some 1-900, what do you call it? I mean, those late night infomercials. And most of those, if not all of those, were scams. Carlton Sheets, remember him? Would come on at late night and talk about real estate and stuff like that. We bought those get rich things and lost everything because we invested in some stupid stuff. So we had to go to the library, or if you were not in the school of the Wharton School of Finance, Donald Trump, all right, you had to ask a friend who was doing it. And if you had the opportunity to ask your landlord how, that's how my father learned the game. He asked them white folks, how you do it. All right? So we can sit at home and build businesses from home. So I'm asking you all to do yourself a favor and sit with your children who getting ready to move out. Replay this video for them. Go to Uncle Larry and buy his program. His program is in typically most of my my YouTube in the description. You can buy his investment class. It's a great investment. The link is on the Sirwalterj Jones show description. Teach them all you can. They're going to go out there and they won't make the mistakes that you probably made yourself. All right. And then if they come back home, help them. My daughter lives with me. My daughter don't have to pay for anything. She don't pay for rent and light and gas and water, whatever. I said, baby, you are working. She works hard. She does double shifts sometimes. She's blessed to have a job where she takes her children with her because she works for a home, a daycare center. It's not a daycare. It's a home where single mothers live. It's like like a Ronald McDonald type thing, home, housing. But anyway, she works there. So she's blessed to have that kind of job and position where they pay her. And she's able to watch and babysit her own children. Meanwhile, she does hair on the side. So she got at least 2 or 3 streams of income. And then she take that money and support her children with it. And she's putting money away so that I'm looking for that day. I'm not looking forward to it because I kind of don't want it because fathers are a little different with their daughters. My son turned 18 and I told him, you got to go. And when he turned 18, the day he turned 18, I took the plate that we had and I broke the plate right in front of him. I said, now, son, I broke the plate. That means you can't eat here. You got to go. 2 days later, he moved out. He moved out. My daughter, well, I never told her that. That's just the way men are. I said, baby, stay here as long as you can until you get on your feet and until another man comes. That's typically what happens. A man will come and then he will move you out of the house. All right, so you can stay here. Well, she moved out. She moved to college and got her own apartment, and she was independent. And then times got hard, she came back home. And then I said, save, and she did. She saved. The day is going to come where she's going to say, Daddy, I'm gone with your two favorite, your babies. And my grandsons are going to go, and then I'm going to have to leave the house to go visit them. She got every right to do whatever she needs to do. But it's going to be tough for me because, not to be able to hear all that noise in the house, and it's going to be too quiet in the house, too quiet. All right, so you really, really need to make sure. So when they do come back home, help them. Give them wise counsel. Don't let them just sit up in the house and do nothing. Show them how to do and come up with witty inventions and come up with ideas. And, they can write books and they could do these TikToks and YouTube videos, what have you, and teach them how to monetize their channels and all kind of things. Send them to me. I could tell them how to monetize their channels. What to put in the thumbnails and how to tag your videos and what have you. Over time, trust me, it took me years to get my channel monetized because I didn't know what I was doing. If I started a new channel tomorrow, it won't take that long. All right, it'll take me maybe 30 days to get that channel monetized. All right, but back then I didn't know how. All right, so now I have streams of income. But my expenses are high, I will say that, but I had to build several streams of income so that I can afford those bills. My bills are high, and I'm not living above my means. I'm actually living at a place where I can handle it because my bills are high because it's my business. My business requires high investment. All right, so the monies that I make or the monies that are given to me through the CashApp, and when you all are taking care of Patreon is my college fund. Moody Bible Institute wants that money every quarter. And I dig into Patreon and pay Moody off. So you all are supporting my school 100%. Every dollar in Patreon goes to my school. Every dollar goes to the school. I can't spend none of that on nothing, not even a stick of gum. All of it gets turned over to Moody Bible Institute. And many of you said, thank God I'm doing this for him because he's teaching us. A lot of this stuff I show y'all, a lot of it, the concepts come from Moody. Comes from Moody. So you all are investing into me as I invest in you. Everything else that comes into the CashApp and the other places go towards the bills and goes towards the Sirwalterj Jones or SWJ Media empire so that I can continue to stream. Wi-Fi, computers keep breaking these lights and all of these special effects that I have and all these. I'm always buying something else. I got things on the floor that I'm pressing that y'all don't even know I'm pressing them to go from scene to scene. I got special cameras that are looking at me right now. That's cost quite a bit. That does things that other things can't do, and I have to update them as I update the show. And then there are people who are in need. All right. So if my son wants to come back home and move in, I'm gonna have to tell him, no, bro, you can't come home now. You a man. You got to go out. You got to hustle. You got to hustle. You got to hustle. Well, he hasn't said anything about coming home. He doesn't really call home and always asking for money. He is very self-sufficient, my son. I'm proud of him. I'm taking my daughter Elise out tonight. I'm gonna try to shoot an unplugged. Anybody enjoying the unplugged? If you're enjoying the unplugged series at nighttime, let me know and I'll continue them. They typically drop around 9 Central Standard Time. Unplugged means no audience. That's what unplugged means. So somebody be like, is this live? No, it's called unplugged. No audience. It's just me. I get a chance to dress up in a nice jacket and dim the lights and talk to you all like a father or a brother or a son, one of the three. And we just talk. And it's only about 20 minutes. Sometimes I go a couple minutes more, but it's typically around 20 minutes average. All right. I'm going to take a break and go. And my daughter wants to see the Book of Mormon. It was her birthday a couple weeks ago. And I promised her I would take her to Broadway. So I got a hot date tonight with my daughter going to see the Book of Mormon. All right. She wants to see it. It wasn't my choice, but back here, I did want to see it. Somewhere back here in my conscious, I do want to see it. All right. All right. I do want to see it. All right. So that's my hot date tonight. And so I've got just another couple hours to shoot a good unplugged. All right. Y'all give me some suggestions for an unplugged topic. You can put it here right now and be like, give me an idea on an unplugged topic, and we will start shooting those so they can drop. Other than that, take care of yourselves and one another. Today's Thursday, we're good. Tomorrow's Friday. Other than that, if I don't see you on Unplugged, I'll see you on Patreon. We'll drop another financial show tomorrow. Pray for my schooling because it's getting rough. See you for Sunday school Saturday. Sirwalterj Jones Show is what we do. Every day, all day. God, we thank you for your presence, your love. Thank you for the people who are here. We thank you for, the wisdom that's coming from these people here. I'm reading their comments. I may not always quote and read them out loud, but I see them all. And I thank you for their wisdom because I'm actually learning stuff. When they do type, I do learn a lot from these people. So thank you for them, both young, middle-aged, and old. We do like you to continue to bless them and be a blessing to them as you've been a blessing to us. Take good care of them. They're my family, and I do love them so dearly. And one day I'll get a chance to meet them all. They're spread all over the world, and one day I'll get a chance to get on an airplane and just pop in and say, hey, y'all, I just want to say hi and go somewhere else. Yeah, we do love you. We give an end to praise in Jesus' name. Thank God. Amen. All right, y'all. Somebody asked me about the prayer part 2. I was asking y'all, do you want me to do a prayer part 2? I didn't see too many comments that said that you want me to. I did a how to pray on a Tuesday, I think it was, and I polled y'all. So the poll means do it or don't do it. So I should like to know. If one person said, I'm not going to do a whole show for one person. Then again, every show I do is because of one person. Every one, including this one.
Fellas, does it seem like you can't get a good woman? Ladies, wonder why you can't keep a man? Then read The 4 Women That Men Desire, Volume 1, by Sirwalterj to figure out how to break the cycle. Go to Amazon.com to get your copy today.